day a shadow of things to come. So as you know, Brother Canal, you did the Passover. So we see Yeshua was the Passover lamb. So that was a shadow of things to come. Azariah did the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And we see the spiritual meaning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's not just about eating unleavened bread for these 7 days, but removing the leaven from our lives as well, sin. Uh, that also has a future, well, it is applied today, but it also has a future um, connotation to it. So the Sabbath day, which is today, this also is a shadow. And we go to Colossians chapter 2. And we're going to read from verse 16. We'll read verse 16 and 17. And it says, "Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come. But the body is of the Messiah." So Paul here is telling them, don't let anybody judge you in meat or drink, or in respect of holy days, nor new moons or Sabbaths. So this speaks to us today. I know the Christians have a different meaning to this. They're saying, Paul is saying, look, you don't got to do these things, don't let anybody judge you. No. Paul is telling those who are following the law, let no man judge you for doing these things, because these things are a shadow of things to come. So we can look at Hebrews now. Hebrews 8. And we're going to read from verse 1 to 5. It's Hebrews chapter 8, from verse 1 to 5. And it says, "Now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which Yah pitched, and not man." Verse 3, "For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices. Wherefore it is of necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer." Verse 4, "For if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the law." Verse 5, "Who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of Elohim when he was about to make the tabernacle. For, see, he saith he, that thou make all things according to the pattern showed to thee in the mount." And Brother Azariah, you read this here in Exodus 25 today. So this is telling you again in verse 5, "Who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things." So then we're going to go to Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. Hebrews 10 and verse 1, and it says, "For the law, having a shadow of things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they offer year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect." Now this here is referring to the law of animal sacrifice for sin. So that was also a shadow of things to come. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the thing, can never, with those sacrifices which they offer year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect. And if we skip to verse 4, you see it says, "For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sin." So it's talking here about the animal sacrifice. That was a shadow of things to come. That thing to come was Yeshua at his first coming, where he then removed the animal sacrifice for sin. And he died. His blood, as it says here in, you can look at this in verse 9 and 10. It says, "Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O Elohim. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yeshua the HaMashiach once for all." So the first that he took away was the animal sacrifice for sin. And the second that he established was his blood. So this entire chapter here is talking about the animal sacrifice for sin and what Yeshua did for us and so forth. So let's take a look now at the Sabbath itself. We're going to start this at Genesis chapter 2. And we're going to read the first 3 verses. So it says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the 7th day Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made." So we see here the Creator himself rested on the 7th day and he hallowed it. So it says, verse 3, "And Elohim blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made." So we see the Creator himself, he rested on the Sabbath day. So we're going to go now to Deuteronomy chapter 5. And we're going to read from verse 12 to 15. Deuteronomy 5, verses 12 to 15. And it reads, "Keep the Sabbath day and sanctify it, as Yah thy Elohim have commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. But the Sabbath day is the Sabbath of Yah thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou." Verse 15. "And remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that Yah thy Elohim brought thee out thence, through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yah thy Elohim commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day." So this is clear a command that we are commanded to keep the Sabbath day. So we're going to start to look at the importance of keeping the Sabbath day. And this is Exodus chapter 31. And we're going to read from verse 12 down to verse 18. So Exodus 31, verses 12 to 18. And it reads, And Yah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yah that doth sanctify you. Verse 14. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Verse 15. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh it is a Sabbath of rest, holy unto Yah. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. Verse 17. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tablets of testimony, tablets of stone written with the finger of Elohim. So we see the Sabbath is a sign between the Mosai and Israel forever. So this will never end no matter what. As long as there's Israel, this sign remains with them forever. So that was Exodus 31. So let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 20. We're going to read from verse 12 to 21. So this is Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 12 to 21. And it reads, Moreover, also I give them my Sabbaths, to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Yah, that sanctified them. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. Verse 14. But I wrought for my name's sake, that I should not be polluted before the heathen, in whose sight I bought them out. 15. Yet also I lifted up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands. Verse 16. Because they despised my judgments and walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. Verse 17. Nevertheless, my eyes spared them from destroying them, neither did I make an end of them in the wilderness. But I said unto their children in the wilderness, walk ye not in the statutes of your fathers, neither observe their judgments, nor defile yourself with their idols. And hallow my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between me and you, that ye may know that I am Yah, your Elohim. And verse 21, notwithstanding, the children rebelled against me. They walked not in my statutes, neither kept my judgments to do them, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. They polluted my Sabbaths. Then I said, I would pour out my fury upon them to accomplish my anger against them in the wilderness. So we see here again, the Sabbath is a sign given from the Mosai to Israel. It's a sign between the Mosai and Israel, keeping his Sabbaths. So let me go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6, and we're going to read from verse 6 to 9. So Deuteronomy chapter 6, and we're going to read from verse 6 to 9. And it reads, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou layest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. So we see here that the law is a sign between, and where this sign is located, verse 8. It says, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And verse 9 also, it shall write them, and thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. So this is speaking about the law of the Mosai. Let me go to chapter 11. This is Deuteronomy chapter 11. And we're going to read from verse 16 to 19. Let me just exit that from there. Verse 16. This is Deuteronomy 11, 16 to 19. And it reads, take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then Yah's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heavens, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, unless ye perish quickly from off the good land which Yah giveth you. Verse 18. Therefore shall ye lay up these words. Read again. Therefore shall you lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So we These laws are a very big part of our lives. We are required to teach them to our children. Speaking of them when you sit down in your house, when you walk everywhere, when you lay down, when you rise up, we are supposed to be speaking of these laws, teaching them to our children day by day. We're going to follow this up in Exodus chapter 13. And we're going to do, I know you did this yesterday, Azariah, but we're going to do from verse 5 to 10. And it reads, Exodus 13, 5 to 10. And it shall be when Yah shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days shall thou, the 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast to Yah. So here he's talking about the feast of unleavened bread, which we know also is a command that we are supposed to keep. So verse 7, unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which Yah did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. Verse 9, and it shall be for a sign upon thee, upon thy hand, and for a memorial between thy eyes, that Yah's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand have Yah brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. So here he's making special reference to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which we are currently in right now. And this shall be a sign as well in thy hand. So these laws are given as signs. So let's go in now and tune in on the Sabbath of rest. And we're going to start this in Isaiah chapter 56. Because as I said earlier, the Sabbath day is very, very important, and it points to something. It is a shadow of things to come. So let's start with this. We point out the Sabbath day, the importance of keeping the Sabbath day. This also shows the importance of keeping the Sabbath day. And then we're going to go to show what the Sabbath represents in the future. And this one kind of shows us as well. So this is Isaiah chapter 56, reading from verse 1. And it says, thus saith Yah, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness is to be revealed. So we see here, this is future. This is the prophecy. It's to be revealed. Verse 2. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keep the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to Yah speak, saying, Yah have utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the Enoch say, behold, I am a dry tree. Verse 4. For thus saith Yah unto the Enoch that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them I will give in mine house, and with my walls a place and a name better than the sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to Yah, to serve him, and to love the name of Yah, to be his servant, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and take hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted upon mine altar, for mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. So we see here, from what we see thus far, so the Enoch and the stranger that sojourns with Israel, they also, if they want to get this reward, have to keep the Sabbaths and keep from polluting the Sabbath, and take hold of the covenant that the Most High made with Israel. So verse 8, Yah Elohim, which gathereth the outcast of Israel, saith, Yet will I gather others to him, besides those that are gathered unto him. All ye beasts of the field come to devour, yea, all ye beasts in the forest. His watchmen are blind, they are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs, they cannot bark, sleeping, laying down, loving to slumber. Yea, there are greedy dogs which can never have enough, and there are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. Come ye, say they, I will fetch wine, and we will fill ourselves with strong drink. And tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant. So here in the latter part, he's speaking about those who don't do the things that he requires, keeping his Sabbaths and keep from polluting it, and take hold of his covenant. So they will be saying things like this. So let's go into the book of Psalm. Psalms 132. Because, as I said, the Sabbath is a shadow of things to come. So Psalm 132, and it reads, Yah, remember David and all his afflictions, how he swore unto Yah and vowed unto the mighty Elohim of Jacob, surely I will not come into the tabernacle of my house, nor go up to my bed. I will not give sleep to my eyes, or slumber to my eyelids, until I find out a place for Yah, and a habitation for the mighty Elohim of Jacob. Lo, we heard of it at Ephratah. We found it in the fields of the wood. We will go into his tabernacle. We will worship at his footstool. Arise, O Yah, into thy rest. So arise, O Yah, into thy rest, thou and the ark of thy strength. Let thy priests be clothed with righteousness, and let thy servant shout for joy. For thy servant David's sake, turn not away the face of thine anointed. Verse 11. For Yah have sworn in truth unto David. Pay attention to verse 11, but we're going to come back to this. Yah have sworn in truth unto David. He will not turn from it. Of the fruit of thy body will I set upon thy throne. So Yah have sworn this to David. I will not turn from it. The fruit of David's body will he set upon thy throne. If thy children will keep my covenant and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit upon thy throne forevermore. Verse 13. For Yah have chosen Zion, he have desired it for his habitation. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. Now we see from verse 11 that he swore to David in truth, and he shall not turn from it. He's going to set the fruit of David's body upon David's throne. And if the children should keep the covenant and the testimonies as well, they will also sit upon the throne forevermore. And it says, for Yah have chosen Zion. Zion is Jerusalem. So he has chosen Zion or Jerusalem. He have desired it for his habitation. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. So Jerusalem is going to be his rest forever. So we're going to come back to this. Let's go to the book of Luke. Luke chapter 1. We're going to see what the angel told Mary. So Luke chapter 1, and we're going to read from verse 30 to 33. So Luke chapter 1, verse 30 to 33. And it reads, And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with Elohim. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yeshua. Verse 32. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And Yah Elohim shall give unto him the throne of his father David. Read that again. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And Yah Elohim shall give unto him the throne of his father David. So most people say Psalm 132 was regarding Solomon. No, it was not. So verse 33, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. So of this kingdom of Yeshua, it shall not end. He's going to reign over the house of Jacob forever. And as we read earlier, the sons who take hold of the covenant, they will also sit on the throne with him. So this was Luke chapter 1, verse 30. So let's go into the book of Acts. Acts chapter 2. And we're going to start verse 22. Acts chapter 2 from verse 22. We're going to read 22 to 28. So it reads, Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yeshua of Nazareth, the man approved of Elohim among you by miracles and wonders and signs, which Elohim did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Verse 23. Him being delivered by determinate counsel and foreknowledge of Elohim, ye have taken, and by wicked hands have crucified and slain. Verse 24. Whom Elohim hath raised up, having loosed the pains of death, because it was not possible that he should be holden of it. Verse 25. For David speaketh concerning him, I foresaw Yah always before my face, for he is on my right hand, that I shall not be moved. Verse 26. Therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad. Moreover, also my flesh shall rest in hope. 27. Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. Verse 28. Thou hast made known to me the ways of life. Thou shalt make me full of joy with thy countenance. So let me break there. We're going to come back to Acts 2. Because you said David foresaw, and David said this. So we go into the book of Psalms. Psalm chapter 16. Let me see what is being spoke of here. So Psalm chapter 16, and we're going to read from verse 8 to 11. And it reads, I have set Yah always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there is pleasure forevermore. So we see David pen this in the book of Psalm. So this also is a prophecy. 2, and then we're going to follow on from verse 29. So Acts chapter 2, and we're going from verse 29, where we start. So he says, Men and brethren, let me freely speak unto you of the patriarch David, that he is both dead and buried, and his sepulchre is with us unto this day. Therefore, being a prophet, and knowing that Elohim have sworn with an oath to him that of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up Yeshua to sit on his throne. And we just read that in Psalm 132, verse 31. He, seeing this, before spake of the resurrection of Yeshua, that his soul was not left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption or decompose. Verse 32. This Yeshua have Elohim raised up, whereof we all are witnesses. Verse 33. Therefore, being by the right hand of Elohim exalted, and having received of the Father's the promise of the Holy Ghost, he have shed forth this, which ye see and hear. Verse 34. For David is not ascended into heaven, but he saith himself, Yah said unto Maya, sit thou on my right hand until I make thy foes thy footstool. And verse 36, therefore let all the house of Israel know assuredly that Elohim have made the same Yeshua whom ye have crucified, both Yah and Messiah. I'll read that again. Therefore, let all the house of Israel know assuredly that Elohim have made the same Yeshua whom ye have crucified, both Yah and Messiah. I know this one is kind of hard for people to swallow today, but that is a lesson that we covered already. Who Yeshua is. So let's carry on. Actually, let's go back up. We're going to go up now, same Acts 2, from verse 18 to 21. Because remember, we are pointing out what the Sabbath is for the future, or what it represents. So Acts chapter 2, and we're going to go from verse 18 to 21. And it says, and on my servant and on my handmaid I have poured out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. Verse 19, and I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs in earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and notable day of Yah comes. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yah shall be saved. So now we are getting into the events of what is coming. So that was Acts chapter 2, verse 18 to 21. So let's visit Luke. This is Luke 21. Luke 21, and we're going to read verse 10 and 11. And it says, then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famine, and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. Then we're going to go to I think it's Matthew. Yes, Matthew 24. So Matthew 24, and we're going to read 27 to 31. Right. So Matthew 24 from verse 27, and it reads, for as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For whosoever the carcass is, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagle be gathered together. Verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the sky, and the power of the heavens shall be shaken. 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Verse 31. And he shall send his angel with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So we see here, this is talking about the coming or the second coming of Yeshua. We're going to pick this up also in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. And we're going to read from verse 16, because all of this goes in hand. So 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, and we're going to go from verse 16, and it reads, For Yah himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Elohim, and the dead in Yeshua shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet Yah in the air, and so shall we ever be with Yah. So this is the second coming. And when he picks up his saints, because this is what happened, the dead in him. So Abraham, David, all of those patriarchs, all the ones who believe, all who kept the law, all who did what was required for salvation and that are dead, they are going to rise up and meet him in the air. And then those who are alive that remain, that are keeping his laws, that are doing everything that is required for salvation, then those will be taken up to meet him in the clouds, as it says here. And so they will be with him forever. So as we read earlier, he desires Jerusalem. And if you remember, when Yeshua was going back up, the angel told the disciples that this same Yeshua that you see go up is going to come back at like manner at this same spot, which was at the Mount of Olives. So Zechariah chapter 14 would also tell us what happens after they are taken up in the air. This is where he picks up his saints that comes back down with him. He just picks them up, and then he comes back down at the Mount of Olives. So that was 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. So let's go into the book of Revelations. Revelation chapter 10.
Yes, we don't want to read the passage from Zechariah that tells us what happened after he comes back.
Oh, you want to get the passage from Zechariah? No problem.
Come on.
Here's it. Just look for it quick. Give me one sec. I have it noted. Zechariah 14 verses 14. Come on. Okay, let me read from verse 3. This is Zechariah 14. I'm going to read from verse. So let me read from verse 1. And it says, Behold, the day of Yah cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. So, verse 2, this entire Zechariah 14 was a prophecy when it was penned. But this part of the prophecy has already come to pass. Verse 2. This is 70 AD. Verse 2 is what happened in 70 AD. But the rest, so verse 3. Then shall Yah go forth and fight against those nations as they fought in the day of battle. Verse 4. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and towards the west, and there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove towards the north, and half towards the south. Let me just read on a little bit more. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And Yah, my Elohim, shall come, and all the saints with thee. So this is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, where he picked up the saints. So all the saints is going to come with him, and they're coming right, verse 4, at the Mount of Olives. Verse 6, and it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to Yah, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. Verse 8, and it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them towards the former sea, and half of them towards the Hinder Sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And Yah shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Yah, and his name one. So this is speaking about Yeshua's kingdom. So verse 10, and the land shall be turned as a plain of Gibeah and Ramon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up, the inhabitants in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananiel unto the king's winepress. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yah will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. Read that again. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongues shall consume away in their mouths. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yah shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel and great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse of the mule, of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. Verse 16, and it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which come up against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yah of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Let me just go to the end. And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yah of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. So we see here, and at this time, and we'll get to that. At this time is when Satan is bound for the 1,000 years. This is the 1,000-year reign that is happening right here. So all the families of the earth are going to have to come up to worship. And who don't come up, there will be no rain. But look at verse 18. And if the families of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, so they already have no rain, and they're still not coming up to worship, there shall be the plague wherewith Yah will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Yah, and the pots in Yah's house shall be like the bowls before the altar, or the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto Yah of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seeth therein, and seeth therein, and in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of Yah of hosts. So Zechariah chapter 14, it gives you a synopsis of the things to come. It went from 70 AD with the destruction of Jerusalem to when Yeshua comes again and all the events that is going to take place during that 1,000-year reign. So let's go now to Revelation. I was on my way to Revelation. So let's head here. Revelation chapter 10.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
That is no problem, brother. All praise to the Most High. So I'm glad that we did that, though, because let me just say it, the 1,000-year reign represents the rest. This represents the Sabbath day. So the Sabbath day is a mark towards the 1,000-year reign, or the rest. And we will get that coming out here shortly. So this is Revelation chapter 10, verse 7. We're going to read verse 7. Revelation 10 and verse 7. It says, But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Elohim should be finished, as he have declared to his servants the prophets. So let me read that again. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Elohim should be finished, as he have declared to his servants the prophet. So note, let me read 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, where Yeshua starts to descend with the shout of the angel and the trump, the dead shall rise first. That is the sound of the seventh angel when Yeshua is coming. is when the seventh angel, as you read here. But the day of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Elohim should be finished. So when that seventh angel sound, that is it, brothers.
No more
That is
mystery. No more mystery.
no more mystery. That is it. So to answer the question we were asking, if we are in the seventh angel right now, no, we are not. We are at the sixth. Because when that seventh strike up, that is it.
Yes,
So
yes.
that was Revelation chapter 10 and verse 7. So let me hit Revelations chapter 11. Oh, I've gone too far. Revelation chapter 11 from verse 15 to 19. So Revelations 11, 15 to 19. And it reads, and the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Yah and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. So verse 15 in chapter 11 tells us it again. And the seventh angel sounded, and there was a great voice in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Yah and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. So when that seventh angel sounds, that is it. The Messiah is on his way. So verse 16. And the 24 elders which sat before Elohim on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped Elohim, saying, we give thee thanks, O Elohim, O Yah Elohim Almighty, which was, and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee the great power and have reigned. Verse 18. And the nations were angry, and their wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. In verse 19. And the temple of Elohim was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his tabernacle the ark of his testimony, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and earthquakes and great hail. Somebody need to mute the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah, brother. So we see this seventh angel, when this sounds, that is it. So we're going to pick this up in Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 13. I'm going to read the entire chapter. Isaiah chapter 13. Because, why I'm going to read this entire chapter? Because this is widely circulated that Isaiah is talking about the Babylonian captivity. No, this isn't. So Isaiah chapter 13. So we're going to go from verse 1. And it reads, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz did see. Lift ye up a banner unto the high mountains, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. Verse 3. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for my anger, even them that rejoice in my holiness. Verse 4. The noise of the multitude in the mountains, like as of the great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms and nations gathered together. Yah of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. Verse 5. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even Yah, and the weapon of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Holy, for the day of Yah is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Verse 7. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Verse 9. Behold, the day of Yah cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Verse 10. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Now this verse 10 tells us exactly what time this is. The stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Verse 11. And I will punish the world for their sin. So this clearly excludes the Babylonian captivity, as some of our brothers is going to say, oh, this is talking about the Babylonian captivity. No. Verse 11. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of Yah of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. Verse 14. And it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Every one that is found shall be thrust together, and every one that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Verse 16. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, or as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, which is babies. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory, sorry, let me read that again. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, The beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when Elohim overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So this verse 19, we were talking about this last night. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tents there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and steers shall dance there. 22. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So this again, Isaiah 13 is speaking about that day of or the day of great vengeance. So we're going to go to the book of Joel, and we got two more after this. So Joel chapter 3, because all of this goes hand in hand. People love to separate these, but this is speaking of one event, all of it. So these are the prophets who are all prophesying of the same very event. So Joel chapter 3, and it reads, For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Verse 4. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Verse 5. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their borders. Verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabeans, to a people far off, for Yah have spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your donging hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down. Oh yeah. Verse 12. Let the heathen be vacant. Let the heathen be vacant, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow. For their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yah is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Verse 16. Yah also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But Yah will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel. So shall ye know that I am Yah, your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no stranger pass through her any more. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine. Right, the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with water. And a fountain shall come forth out of the house of Yah, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be, verse 19. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Judah will dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. Remember that. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. For Yah dwell in Zion. So as I said, all of these are talking about one event. So let me go back to the book of Revelation, chapter 20. And we're just going to read from verse 4 to 6. Revelation chapter 20, verse 4 to 6. And it reads, And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yeshua, and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received the mark upon their foreheads, and in their hand. And they lived and reigned with Yeshua 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. So the first resurrection is what we see here, what we was reading about all along, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and stuff. The dead in him shall rise first, and then those who remain. That is the first resurrection. But the dead that was not serving or doing the things to receive salvation, they will not live at this time. So from verse 4 again, it says, And they saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. So those, remember in Psalm 132, when it says the children, if they obey the covenant and keep charge, they would also sit upon the throne forever. Well, this is the throne, and these are their sitting now, and there are judgment was given unto them. So these are the people that is going to be judging the earth and the angels. So it says, And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yeshua, and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their forehead or in their hand, and they lived and reigned with Yeshua 1,000 years. So this is talking about our, I would say, ancestors that died for keeping the law, that was killed for keeping the law, that died for representing Yeshua and everything he stood for. As we know, a lot of our ancestors was killed, especially when the Romans brought in their Christianity and then started to teach against the law. And anyone who was keeping the law, we even see it with the Greeks before the Roman reign. So a lot of people, a lot of our ancestors, they died for keeping the law. So verses 5, but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years was finished. This is the first resurrection. And verse 6, blessed and holy is he that have part in the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Yeshua and of the Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So as I said, those who made the first resurrection have nothing to worry about. They were found faithful. They have already received the reward. Those who have not made the first resurrection, they have a worry. They now are going to stand before the judgment seat. And the last one, actually, let me look for this one quickly. This is Daniel chapter 12. I didn't have this in the notes, but I will just throw this in Daniel 12. So Daniel chapter 12, and I'll read verse 1 and 2. And it reads, and at the time shall Michael stand up, and the great prince shall standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So this is talking about the book of life. Verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. So he's here talking about the resurrection, but this is talking specifically about the second resurrection, not the first. So verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. So this is what happens in the judgment. Some will be found worthy, and some will go to everlasting contempt, into the lake of fire. So this is the white throne judgment that Daniel here is speaking about in chapter 12. So let me go to the last, and this is Hebrews chapter 3. And we're going to read from verse 1 to 11. So this is Hebrews chapter 3 from verse 1. It says, wherefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Yeshua the HaMashiach. Verse 2, who was faithful to him that appointed him, as also Moses was faithful in all his house. Verse 3. For this man was counted worthy of more glory than Moses, inasmuch as he who have built the house have more honor than the house. Verse 4. For every house is built by some man, but he that built all things is Elohim. Give me 1 second. Wait, verse 5. And Moses verily was fearful in all his house as a servant for a testimony of those things which were to be spoken after. But Yeshua, Yeshua as a son over his own house. Whose house are we? If we hold fast the confidence and the rejoicing of the hope firm unto the end. Verse 7. Wherefore, as the Holy Ghost saith, today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in the provocation, in the day of temptation in the wilderness, when your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my works 40 years. Wherefore I was grieved with that generation, and said, they do always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest. I'll read that again. So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest. So he's saying the children of Israel in the wilderness, the ones that rebelled against him, those will not make the first resurrection. They will not be alive for the 1,000-year reign when Yeshua rules this earth for the 1,000 years. They will be waking up in the second resurrection, where they would face judgment. So verse 11 tells us that he swore in his wrath, they will not enter his rest. They would not see that 1,000-year reign of Yeshua. So here ends the lesson of today, where the Sabbath, the day of rest, is a shadow of the Messiah's kingdom, that 1,000 years, which is his rest. This is the day of rest, because we know 1,000 years for us is but a day unto the Most High. So this 1,000-year reign, or Yeshua's kingdom, this represents the Sabbath day, this day of rest. So all praise to the Most High. And any words, brothers?